Welcome to the Master The NEC Podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master The NEC Podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master The NEC Podcast. My name is Paul Abernathy, your host as always. Thank you for joining me here on the podcast. Remember, if you've never heard our podcast before, that you're a first-time listener, we have podcasts on all different topics when it comes to the National Electrical Code, of course, other electrical things related, much like today's topic that we're going to be talking about, which is talking about branding your business, the importance of branding your business, and why everybody, if you're an electrician, plumber, mechanical, it doesn't matter. If you're in business, you need to do something that sets you apart, makes you stand out, and you're on the tip of the tongue of your customers and your clients. So we're going to talk about all that today, building that business, building that brand. But before we do that, again, I want to remind you that these podcasts are all available on all of your favorite listening platforms: Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, but also available over on our mobile app, which is free. It doesn't cost you anything. All you got to do is go to Fast Tracks System, and that's tracks, folks, T-R-A-X, okay, not T-R-A-C-K. It's fasttrackssystem.com. Go over there, go to the menu, you'll see where it says mobile app, go there. If you're on your phone, just simply click on the link. It'll ask you if you want to save it to your homepage. Obviously, yes. It's not going to download anything onto your phone. It's just a link, because everything that we do is mobile-based. Why? Because it allows me to update things, change things in real time, so that you don't have to keep downloading software onto your phone from the Google Store or Apple Store. I don't believe in all that. I don't want to put that garbage in your phone. So it's all mobile-based. We shifted to that a couple years ago. Okay, so thanks for joining me, and make sure you listen to all of our podcast episodes that are available on all those platforms. Okay, so today in this episode, we're going to kind of step off topic a little bit from what we sometimes do when it comes to talking about the National Electrical Code and the code books and exam prep and all that stuff that I'm known for. But I also am a mentor to many contractors that are going into business, whether they're talking about grassroots shoestring marketing techniques or how to build their business brand awareness, all those type of things, what to kind of the potholes in the road. I kind of give them some guidance. So I have people that use me as their consultant to help grow their business and give them ideas, or even if something to just bounce something off of somebody else, rather than just feel like you're alone in the industry, that type of thing. And so what came up to me was a topic that that's kind of overlooked, and everybody's out there hustling to build their business and, trying to determine what makes company A better than company B, or why should I call company C to have something done. And I will tell you that this isn't specifically to electrical contractors, because it can be broad across plumbing, mechanical, builders, roofers, anybody that has a service-related business. These things I'm going to talk about today can be beneficial for them. But of course, I'm an electrician, I'm an electrical guy, so I'm focusing on electrical contractors at this point. So that's what we'll be talking about today. It's something a little different. We're going to talk about growing your business, and it's a word that many people don't think about when they start their business. Okay, they don't think about. They're so busy getting all the permit, getting all their licenses, getting everything together, but they don't think about the long-term goal, and that is branding your company to the image that you want it to be. And it starts off real early, as you'll see. We'll talk about right in the early stages, branding. What do you want other people to perceive your company? What do they want to see when they see your trucks or see your name or see your logo or even see your employees? What impression that you want to give them? So now I'm not talking about marketing gimmicks or empty slogans. That's not the topic of this lesson today or this discussion. I'm talking about building a real local reputation that makes people think you are who they need to hire to have their electrical work done or whatever servicing product that you offer. Okay. So this episode is for every electrical contractor, every electrician who's inspired to be an electrical contractor and wants to get all the knowledge up front before they really start putting their money where their mouth is and getting into contracting business. So we're going to talk about that. And you know what? I am more than sure that you guys and gals that listen to our shows are savvy enough to build a name, understand a legacy, and want to build a brand that people respect, okay? I'll tell you a little funny story in how you're sometimes going to get backlash. It was probably 15 years ago that I created the concept on building a brand called the Electrical Guru. And I was working on a brand, I was working on a concept, and I literally, in a logo, and I remembered that from a company standpoint and from my perspective, not being, talking about being a contractor, but just in building a brand alone, I built this thing called the Electrical Guru, and I took a lot of heat. I'm not lying. I took a lot of heat, mainly from the wannabes over on Mike Holt's forum. Have nothing to do with Mike, because Mike doesn't really go on his forums. It's the people that are on. I got so much grief. They were like, Paul thinks he's the guru. Paul thinks he's the best. Paul thinks he knows it all. And I'm sitting there going, these are people that don't get it. They're going to always work for somebody else. They're going to have a hard time being their own boss. They don't understand branding. They don't understand marketing. They just don't get it. They'd rather sit on a forum and take pot shots at people, and they don't understand the business principles of building a brand, building something that's recognizable so that they don't just call you once. You want them to call you over and over and over again for anything they need, and you want to be recognizable. So when I was doing the Electrical Guru, I took so much heat, and I'm like, you know what? People remember the Electrical Guru and the logo before they're going to remember Paul Abernathy. And so that's so true when it comes to building a brand and a reputation, that sometimes you're going to have to block out your peers. You're going to have to block out some of the things that people say because they don't, trust me, they do not have your best interests at heart. I know that sounds, to some people, they're like, whoa, what do you mean? People don't care? No, they do not care. Okay, so don't let anybody hear. Paul is here to tell you right to your face. Paul is honest, and I'm always going to tell you what you maybe don't want to hear. Okay, people don't give a shit about your problems. They may act like they do. They may, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But once that's over, they really don't give a damn. They really don't. The rare few do, because if you've helped them at some point, they have a connection. But most people, they don't want to hear about your story, and the customer doesn't care. But what they do care about is what kind of image you bring, and how you carry yourself, and what kind of branding you're bringing to the table. So let's talk about that in a little more in depth. And you know what? It's also a point where you don't want to be invisible to your customer, right? Where they go flipping through the phone book, or do we even have phone books now? They go looking online, they go doing some things, and then your name doesn't ring a bell. It doesn't remind them of anything. So when we're building this brand, and we're going to talk about this in multiple steps, okay? But you want to stop being invisible to your customer, and you want to become unforgettable to your customer. That's what we're going to be talking about doing today. And we're going to break it down in some steps. And by no means is this an all-inclusive list. This is just some things that I put together that can help you in your journey to build your brand, okay? So the very first step that we'll talk about today is called define your identity. Who are you, okay? The first step in building a brand is getting clear on who you are and what you represent, especially to your customer. The key points that you got to think about is you got to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? For me, the electrical guru was to be known for an electrical guy, teaches electrical code, who's the go-to person if they have a code question. Sounds to me like the electrical guru was a home run, even though I took a lot of crap for it. It was a home run because it was building that brand. But you have to ignore your peers. I did not ignore my peers early on. So that's why I let the domain go away. I started moving away from it because I had to learn, and I'm trying to save you from the same mistakes. I had to learn that just like a racehorse, I have to put the blinders on and see what the goal is and stop worrying about all this outside influence that's going to derail me. And that's the problem we all have. We want to, and that's why I say get opinions from people that will be honest with you, not people that'll just coddle you. Okay. So I am brutally honest to my students. I'm brutally honest to everybody I meet. And because I don't think they want to be a bullshit Paul. They can want the real Paul. And whether it rubs some people's feathers the wrong way, that's okay. Like I said, I didn't get into this business to make friends, but I did get into this business to help people be successful. Okay. So you have to think about is what do you want to be known for? And then ask yourself these real honest questions as we're getting started here. Are you the most code savvy electrician? Do you feel you're the most code savvy electrician in your area? Are you very punctual? Is that are you super clean? Are you very safety conscious? Do your vehicles, or if you work for yourself or somebody else, is your vehicles, are they exquisite? Do you keep everything? Are you a nitpicky about the way things look? Obsessive compulsive? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay. Now, what I say is after you lay down what key points in your mind that you want to be known for. For example, I'll use me as an example. So electrical, when it comes to education, and not so much contractor, but education. I want to be known as reliable. I want to be known as accurate. Okay. And I want to be known as somebody that is honest. Those things that I go for. Okay. So the knowledgeable comes from making sure I answer things correctly for people and provide good services to people. Okay. Knowledgeable means I give them very accurate answers. Okay. Research them based on data. Sometimes opinions involved in it, but it's opinion that's based on many years of working in the field, that type of thing. So all those things in you put together and try to find for your brand to start out, what are the things that you want to be known for? Now, if I'm an electrical contractor, I want to be known for a fair price. Okay. I want to be known for punctual. Okay. Reliable. Okay. I want to be known for on time. Okay. We're the neatest. Okay. Whatever you feel. Again, I can't speak for you, but you have to determine that. Now, once you do that, you need to choose 3 words that define your brand. Okay. Define the brand that you want to carry forward here as we start to develop this. Are you accurate, reliable, professional? I mean, do you always look the part? That's part of the brand. Early on, I told you folks many, many times that one of my nitpicky things as a contractor was the look. I felt like I put enough time in myself and my profession that I didn't want to look like a scrub. I didn't want to look like somebody that works out the back of a El Dorado. Okay. I wanted to look the part. And so nobody could say that's a scabby ass electrician who ripped up jeans and holey shirts and it's always dirty. Yeah, he may be cheap. Yeah, he may be nice. Yeah, he may be reliable. But at the back of your mind, there's always that customer going, yeah, but you know what? It just, something doesn't look right. And if you say that's not true, you're full of shit. I'm just honest with you people. So you have to define the 3 words that are you going to be accurate, reliable, and professional? If I'm going to be professional, okay, then I'm going to act like it. And I'm going to carry myself like it in the field, okay? Neat truck, neat marketing advertisements, okay? I'm going to make sure my truck, always have your labeling on your truck, everything pick what you want to be. Okay. Now, the next thing is, accurate. Means that I don't waffle on my charges. I don't jump all around. When I give a price, I hold to it. So I hone my skills at pricing. Reliable. When I tell somebody I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. Okay. Those are the words important. Professional. I'm going to look the part, talk the part. Don't get into arguments with customers. The old saying, the customer's always right. Yeah, they may not be right, but there's a way, and a tactful way you can address it professionally with that customer that doesn't embarrass them, make them feel bad. And that's part of those soft skills. And we actually have a course on soft skills type of thing. But at the end of the day, those things are important for all you as well as any employees to understand soft skills when dealing with a customer. Okay. Now, I understand that, again, I have attention deficit disorder. I go all over the place. So sometimes I got to ring myself back in. We're still talking about defining your identity, okay? I'm still talking about it. So I want to be known for accurate, reliable, professional, super clean, super neat, those type of things. Now, the next thing that you're going to have to do early on, okay, in this identity phase is you need to decide what the name of your company is going to be early on. This is before you even, got your contractor's license, for anything, before you've even determined if you're going to be an LLC, a Chapter S corporation, or you're going to be a sole proprietor. It doesn't matter. At this point, you need to decide on your name. What is it going to be? Is it going to be more personal? Abernathy Electrical Services. That's what I used. Okay. When I was in Virginia, it was Electrical Service Specialists. In the name, I had two choices. I either could go personal and add my name to it, or I could be business centric. Okay, like Voltage Pro Systems or Electrical Service Specialists. But when I moved to Texas and opened up the contracting business there, I wanted to be more personal. One, because nobody knew me, but as I started getting more involved in the community, like I served on the Building Code Standard Council for the city of McKinney, more people were going to learn my name. The more people that learned my name, because the more I was going to be out there involved in events and putting myself out there, then I wanted them to recognize the name Abernathy and Electrical. Okay. It was again, I didn't look for some snappy name that nobody knows, Red Dog LLC. Nobody knows what the hell that means. You know what I'm saying? No offense to Red Dog, who joins us. I'm just saying, as a company name, that is not the way to go. You don't have to be so clever in your name as long as you pick a name that conveys what you do. And you have choices. You can do it personal or you can do it business centric. In Virginia, it was business centric. In Texas, it was personal. It was Abernathy Electrical Services. And you know what? It's just a name, but you have to think about the name and the branding and how it's going to tie into your promotion. And when people get to know that name, you want it to be synonymous with what you do. All these things you got to think about up front. Remember, keep it simple, keep it memorable, and make sure that it aligns with what you do, okay? And in this case, it could have been Abernathy Plumbing. It could have been Abernathy HVAC. And that's, cliche because people do that. They name their companies after themselves. Although I've seen tons of people create business names that if you looked at it on the surface, I wouldn't know at all what you do, what you bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't know anything about it. That is not a good recipe for success if you're going to be going into business. I'm just saying, especially if you're trying to build a brand identity so somebody sees it. So that's the first step, okay? So keep it simple, keep it memorable, and align it with your services and what you do, okay? Now, remember, your brand is your reputation in a uniform. You're not just wiring homes or buildings. You're wiring trust at every connection, okay? That's a quote to live by. So you're the embodiment of your brand. And I think a lot of times with companies who start out this way, they look the part, they start doing it, that they do not emphasize enough to their employees that they are an extension of the brand. I have had tons of employees. Y'all have heard the famous story where one of the employees that worked for me was working on a multi-million-dollar house, and I went there, and it was a stairwell, and it was a big multi-million-dollar house, and it had these lights in the stairwell, and he had fingerprints, even though we provide them with gloves and all when they're doing the finished stuff. And he had his fingerprints everywhere, and I got there, and his lights were crooked, whatever, and I said to him, I said, dude, why didn't you use the gloves I provided? And I said, are you planning on coming back and wiping these down? And he was like, no, I can't see it from my house. That is the wrong thing to say to somebody like me, because you are extending my brand. And right now I'm not happy with it. And it's not going to send a good message to a customer. And in this case, it was a multi-million-dollar home from a developer who was building many homes that I wanted to be the preferred contractor on. Okay. Not the exclusive, but the preferred. And so I fired that guy on the spot. And then people say that's harsh. But you know what? If you're willing to say that to my face and I'm the owner of the company, then what are you going to do behind my back? Okay. And you're an extension of my brand. So the first thing I say is, once you identify yourself, you identify it. Okay. And you know what you want to go for. You know how you want to carry yourself. You develop a name. You decide those key things you want to be known for. Okay. And keep those in your mantra. Now you have to go on to step 2. And step 2 is about designing your look. That's a key component that we're going to be going into next. All right. So now let's see here. So the next thing we're going to talk about is designing your look. And really, if you think about it, it is the way you present yourself visually to others. And it is often that first impression. Before you even speak, your design, your look, everything sets the tone. Now, you've often heard me say before that, can you overcome a bad first impression? You can, but it takes a lot of effort to overcome it. And with some people, it's just a huge hurdle to get over. Customers. I'll give you an example. You show up on a job smoking. You show up on a job. I mean, if you're a smoker and you can't do a service call and not have to suck on a cigarette long enough to just do the service call, then something's wrong. You need to maybe seek out something, because again, that's not healthy. Okay. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you give the best first impression you can. It's not that it can't be overcome by something, but you want to make sure you're always giving that first impression. So when we're designing a look, we make sure we say this up front to our employees, even to ourselves. So we practice what we preach, is that we're going to keep a clean vehicle. We're going to take the time to keep a clean job site. Okay. We're going to be clean cut, where the company protocol or policy, may allow beards or mustaches, whatever, but there is a policy you have to put in place. And if you're a small company, it's just basic principles that you need to do to set that first impression. Okay. So we're going to look at all that type of stuff today. But again, you can overcome a shaky first impression. But at the end of the day, it's so much harder to come back from that. I'll give you another example, since I like giving you examples. So I had an HVAC company come out in Texas. Everybody has probably heard my long stories about my experience with a train unit that was brand new, and a year into it, we just started having so many problems. And so we'd have technicians come out, and the first technician or second technician come out working for a company, and they look like crap, look just dirty, just everything just looks like, you might say, well, that means they're a worker. No, it's bullshit. That's bullshit. Don't fool yourself. Anybody that says that's in contracting, it means you're just damn lazy. That's all it means. I'm sorry. Don't you unsubscribe to me today if you think you're just lazy as shit. There's no reason you should go to a job site looking like a scrub. Now, at the end of the day, after you're done, maybe. But when I had my service guys, they would have extra sets of shirts. They would have Tyvek suits, coveralls. They would have what they need to make sure that if they're going from one job to another job, they didn't look like a scrub. Okay. It's all about the brand. It's all about the vision. You say, well, that's a lot of work. Well, acquiring somebody as a customer and retaining them as a customer is expensive. Okay. That acquisition cost to finally get that phone to ring, to somebody to call you up as an owner, that has cost you money. You might have had to advertise multiple times. You may have done door hangers. You had to work for that customer. The last thing I want to do is set such an impression that I only get money from them one time, or they don't refer me to other people, because word of mouth is still king, right? But it can also put you in the ground as well, because people today, and I don't know what it is, but people today are so quick to be evil. I'll give you a great example. Hulk Hogan. Whether you believe in Hulk Hogan was great or not, racist, whatnot, or made a mistake in his life, it doesn't matter. What he did for wrestling, nobody can deny. But the moment that he died, people went all over social media saying shit like, I'm glad he's dead and all this stuff. What kind of world do we live in where people have to go openly? You can not like somebody, but still keep your mouth shut. You get what I'm saying? And they go all over social media and post this stuff. It just blows my freaking mind how evil people can be. So when it comes to customers, if you set a bad impression or you do something that the customer does not like, they're going to go out of their way to tell other people. And that's not a good thing. But you want them to say great things about you. Now, they're not always going to agree with you. They're not going to like your price. They're not going to like it. But if you keep it professional and don't try to get defensive at it, and just, and I will talk about in other episodes, I'll talk to you about how to defer blame on a site. So it's a skill that you have to learn. We'll talk about that maybe in a future podcast, where it's also covered in our soft skills, how you divert blame to ownership. Even if you are the owner, you divert it to the company, and you kind of explain how you understand. I agree, but I'm forced because this is how it is. But either way, there's ways to work around a negative. Okay. So at the end of the day, try to give that best first impression. But when I said I had a contractor come out, they were dirty, they were nasty, and he was bad-mouthing his boss or his company the entire time. Even when they would say something about having to do this or something, he would say, I wouldn't do it this way, but the company forces it. He was at odds with what his wishes were versus the company, and that's not how it can be. Your employee or you have to be in line with the mission. You can't give your opinion as diverse to what the company's opinion is. It has to be one model, one opinion, one brand. Okay? And you have to have, if employees not happy and they don't want to work there and they can't, follow the process and help build your brand and be a part of the team, then you get rid of them. They're a cancer to your company. They may be the greatest employee you got, but if they're out there running their mouth against your vision, against your brand, they need to go. You need to fire them. Find somebody else. Get your ass out there and take their place until you can get it somebody else. If you're a contractor and you have multiple employees, do not let somebody taint your brand. Okay. All right. Let's talk about designing this look. Okay, number one action is you need to create a logo. Whether you hire a designer to do it or you use a tool, you use whatever, ChatGPT, whatever you want, because they're now very, very, these AI tools are amazing. Whatever you do, you need to come up with a logo. Simple, it's got to send a message, okay? And it doesn't have to be too complicated, but you need to have a logo, okay? Now, when you have a logo, you need to make sure that when you develop this logo is that you need, and my printing folks out there will tell you, when you create these simpler logos, you want to make sure that you have 2 to 3 colors or fonts, and you want to make sure that you're very consistent in the use of those fonts. First thing I made a mistake early on in creating is that my fonts were all over the damn place. My colors were all over the damn place. Still not the best in the world at it, but at the end of the day, you need to stick to some basic colors for your logo design and stick to it. Okay. Next, you need to make sure whether you're a one-man show, and again, I can tell you, you can order shirts one at a time with your logo on it, hats, like I have hats, I wear hats. I'm a hat lover. I like flat bill hats. Then I bend them myself to give them a little bit of a curve. I don't like the true baseball ones that are curved so bad. I like straight ones, and then I bend them myself. That's just me. Always been that way. I don't know why. But you need to make sure now, design your logo, you understand your name, you picked your color schemes. Now you need to think about shirts and hats in jackets if you're going to offer jackets, depending on where your climate is. And you have to make sure that you wear them consistently and that you get enough of them that you can wear them multiple days unless you're going to wash clothes every day. You need to set an image. Now, I don't care if it's for shirts, it's just your name on it in just one color engraving, or if there's silk screened. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When I started out, all of my stuff was the inexpensive T-shirts with the silk screening my name. But I started out with the name on my shirts. Me and my brother started out with a company called AA Electric because it's A and A, Abernathy and Abernathy. So we had AA Electric. Okay. It said what we did, and it was nice to always explain to people that when we go there, that was the two brothers, and that's where the AA came from. So we did that, but we had electric in the name, so people kind of knew what was going on. The good news for us that I was kind of well known in the area for winning the National VICA and the standout at the vocational school, and I was in the news a lot or in the paper doing projects, and I was lucky that I had that kind of exposure. Not necessary, but I was lucky to have it. That helped us grow. Plus, my brother was great electrician in vocational school as well, so that helped. Everybody knew him. So at the end of the day, even if you have just shirts with just your company name on it, things like that, you need to have that branding, okay? Next, whatever vehicle you're using, whatever, it doesn't matter whether you have the fancy vans or you just have your pickup truck. You need to make sure that you either wrap it, and that's expensive, or you can get some type of magnets. When I started out, we had the magnet mounts that mount on the side of the vehicles, the truck. We started out with the van, and we had magnets on the side that were AA Electric and had our number. We had one on each side of the van and one in the back, because if you were driving around, that was a mobile advertisement, baby. If you were stopped at a stop sign, somebody behind you would see what was in front of them. They would see it was AA Electric. Now, you might say, well, I don't think that gets me many sales. Well, you're not doing it right. Okay. And by the way, it's passive. You don't have to work hard at it. You get them made today. You can get the, I remember in Texas, that's what I did because I had an F-150 and I did not want, with the bins on it, I did not want to get a work truck. I wasn't doing that much work by that time. And I was trying to focus on more service work. And I had bins that I would take with me depending on the call. I got the magnet mounts, and I was able to put them on, and when I came home, I took them off because I don't like to leave the magnet on there for the paint. But anytime I was taking that vehicle out somewhere, I slapped those magnet mounts on there. Okay. Now, if you want to get your truck wrapped or whatnot, that's up to you. But I went with the magnets, and they were big. I can't remember, but like I'm thinking, I don't remember, like 20 by 24 or something. I don't know, but they were nice magnet mounts. You can get them at Vistaprint. They're cheap. It's very inexpensive, but you're missing an opportunity to brand yourself as you move around from point A to point B. Okay. All right. And keep it very professional, very neat. And that means you always keep your vehicle neat, by the way. The next thing is, business cards. And you want to make sure that you get business cards because you're going to give them out like water. I did all my business cards at Vistaprint again because I could get it done very cheap, and the templates online allow me to simply add my logo. Very simple. Your logo can brand anything. I remember one time I was with Encore Wire, and there's a guy that worked at Encore Wire that was talking about marketing. He was their marketing guy. He's not with them anymore, but I used to have so many arguments with this guy because he would really scrutinize the Encore Wire logo and the size of it. And I said, putting that logo, if it was recognizable enough, like Nike, for example, then you could put that on anything and that instantly brands it. Doesn't matter the color, doesn't matter the scheme, doesn't matter the brand, a shirt, Adidas or whatever. You could take an Adidas shirt and put a damn Nike logo on it and people would recognize it as Nike. Even if it was made by Adidas. You get what I'm saying? You become a recognizable brand. And I used to tell him, he used to really scrutinize even putting Encore's logo, which looked like a reel of wire, on something. And I would argue with him and say, he would say, no, it can't go here. It can't go. I'd say, like, you know what? it's still branding, no matter where you put it on something, if people recognize the brand. And I said, it's just like any other thing out there, that if you throw the logo on something, it doesn't matter what the piece is you throw it on there, it's branding because you built that logo. Same thing, with business cards, you throw that logo on there, you throw your branding, okay, on there, right? And you also have to remember at the same time is we're going to go into the next step, which is online presence and the importance of things you got to do. But this is in the physical presence. So if it looks slapped together, it feels slapped together. And people do notice that. So take the time to design a logo, even if you have to hire somebody, design a logo that's very centric with what you do. Pick some colors, stick with your color schemes, get shirts made. If you want hats, get hats made, but focus on the shirts. Put your identity on your vehicles, okay? And again, if you're an early contractor and your wife has a vehicle, don't be afraid to say, wifey, I'm putting a smaller magnet mount on your car, okay? She may not like it, but again, she's invested in it with you. You can always take it off when they get home, okay? But when she's out running errands or riding around, I want people to see my company name. I want them to see my brand. And they're going to see a logo that's going to be consistent with your mission, whether your mission was to be what? Accurate, reliable, and professional. They're going to put all these things together, and it's going to be memorable. They're going to see the name, it's memorable, and they're going to see, hopefully, a logo that's very memorable, not too complex, okay? Whether it's just a light bulb with your name, electrical, Abernathy Electric, and it says a message. It says, this is what we do. I think a lot of times when it comes to logos, people try to get too damn clever with a logo, and you're just trying to send the mission, okay? That's it. Okay, so that is what we're dealing with. Again, cards, get them made up, Vistaprint or somewhere. Get them made like water. Maybe you have a local printer that can give you a good deal or something, and you can get some printing done and get your cards. The other advice I'll just tell you real quick, since we were talking about cards, is a lot of people only get one side of the card printed because it may be a little cheaper. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Do both sides of the card. If at the least on the back side, you show people how they can give you a review, maybe on Yelp or Google review, maybe you say, please give us a 5-star rating, and this is the address they go to. Again, if you're going to do anything, use the real estate that you have, okay? I'm just saying, Vistaprint allow you to print on both sides. Don't lose an opportunity. Pay the extra to be able to print on both sides of a card, okay? All right. So the next thing we're going to get into is we're talking about your online presence. And today, why it is so important for every electrical contractor when you're building your brand to have that online presence. So we're going to go over that right next. All right, so let's talk now about the next step, which is own your online presence. Okay, this is what we're talking about. So in today's world, if they can't find you online, then they just may not find you at all. Unless you've got a really good word of mouth presence. And if you're a new contractor getting started and you're trying to build this brand, you're not going to have a big word of mouth presence, right? You have some people that know you, but you know what? You ever heard me talk about tooting your own horn? I'm sure y'all have heard that. And I got accused of this many years ago. And again, people just don't understand branding. It's like, Paul's just tooting his own horn. He thinks he's the greatest. Well, he's the electrical guru. I laughed at him because I said, you know what? You probably don't own a business, and you probably have low self-esteem. I do not, by the way. And I believe that I put my time in, and I'm very proud of my achievements. But when it comes to customers, they don't know who you are. And unless you have a brand, unless you're spending copious amounts of money online to put yourself in their face every waking minute, and some contractors have that kind of money, you have to build your name. And the first thing that you need to do today is that you have to build, you have to build an online presence. You have to. So what can you do to build your online presence? Now, first thing you do is you need to remember that you need to claim all of your free listings online. Whether you've done it or not, first of all, for all of you out there that are listening that have done it, I'm going to talk about what you really need to do with it, because I think people don't do it right. They get it, but they don't do it right. And then they wonder why they don't show up. I'm going to explain some stuff to you, because I do have a bit of a background in understanding SEO, because I've been building websites for 30 years now, but also understanding SEO, and I struggle with it every day. People heard me say that our websites don't show up in the search engines because I'm competing against so many other domains that are trying to do the same thing, whether I think they're good as us or better than us or not, shouldn't be even doing it. It's irrelevant. They're out there, but it's all about SEO and the design. And there's a big difference between SEO online and getting found in search engines than is local SEO, which is very easy for your company to get involved in quickly and have results in quick amounts of time. Let me explain. So the first thing you need to do is your to-do list. And if you're listening out there and you've been in business and you've already felt like you're working on a brand, you need to think about your online presence. Number one, Google My Business Listing, Bing Business Listing, Yelp Business Listing, and any directories that are available out there that you can list, like the Yellow Book or something like that. You need to spend a week going through and really update your local SEO. So when you go get your Google My Business and you claim it, hopefully nobody else has claimed your business, but once you get your business or you add it or you claim it, because it may already be out there in the ether, once you claim it, you need to embellish it. You need to make sure that you add some photos of some real job sites. That new logo that you created that you're staying consistent with, you need to add it immediately. Brand awareness, immediately. Your hours that you work, make it very clear. They have a segment in there where you can add your hours. Put your hours in there, please. Licensing information. Don't hide from people with your license. Trust me. I tell people all the time, don't hire a contractor unless they show you a copy of their license and insurance. I'm not here to hire a handyman to do my electrical work. I want a licensed contractor, okay? So put your license information. Any of the other things that they ask you in there when you're creating your profile, answer it. Try to add as much information as you can. Some referrals, some job site images from other job sites, some photos, and be consistent with adding stuff in there. If it's once a week, you do a project, snap a couple pictures. It could be a simple project, service call, snap a couple pictures, that type of thing. But you constantly want to be updating your Google business profile, your Bing business profile, your Yelp business profile, and any other directories that you can find out there that are free. And if you just take a few minutes and Google them for a second, you will find there are many directory listings out there, because they all work together and they pull information back and forth when people do searches. That's why it's important. And the more detailed your profile is, the higher probability it's going to bring back a result when somebody searches, like they're in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and they go, find me an electrician near me. There's a higher probability if you filled out all those information properly, you put your zip codes or the areas that you service, all of that stuff in your listings, it's a high probability that you're going to get more visibility. There's no guarantee sale. There's a visibility is all you can offer somebody. Is say, look, I can raise your visibility, because if you're not in there and you don't put your stuff in there, you're not going to be found. You're just not. People today, customers, my customers, the ones that when I was doing electrical, they would tell me they found me just doing a Google search. So at the end of the day, it is a real thing, and it's growing and growing and growing. And with the AI and expansion, people are turning to the internet for answers on their phone quickly. So you've got to be there. The next thing that you need to do, and again, you've heard me say this, and people cringe because they don't know how to do it or they shy away from it. Every business must have a website. Very simple, guys. Simple. A front home page, an About Us page, your services page, and contact info. That's it. 4 pages. You can do this for free with Wix. There's templates. You just can delete what you don't want, fill in the blank, but you need to. If it means that you pay somebody $1,500, $1,000, whatever, to create you basic website for your company, you got to do it, guys. Trust me. Today, it's bigger now than ever is the presence. And the reason is Because once you have this website, and you might say, I'm in business, I've never done any of that. Well, good for you. You're not hungry. With that statement, you're satisfied. You're not hungry. I'm an electrical contractor. I'm hungry. I want business. I want to grow my business. Okay. So I want a homepage. They're very simple. You can go to wix.com. You can get one real cheap, pay somebody, whatever you got to do, and get a homepage, which is going to have your logo, a little bit about your business, maybe some pictures, a couple of quick pictures of installs or whatnot. And then it's going to have links to the about page, which you're going to say a little bit about your company, your background, your history, your commitment. You remember you're going to highlight those things that you want to be known for. You're professional, reliable, those things, those key things that we talked about that were part of your identity. That is where you're going to start putting this information so people can learn a little bit more about you. Okay. And obviously a contact page so they can reach you. Your phone number's got to be there. Your email's got to be there. And then you have a page for the services. This allows you to add different services. Maybe you do service work. Maybe you do troubleshooting. Maybe you just do residential. Maybe you do whatever it is. You need to let your customers know. Now, the other reason that you need a website is because remember those business cards we talked about? You want to make sure that you include your URL, which is your web address, on those business cards so that the customer can go there to find out more information, or maybe even put a QR code on there where they can scan it with their phone. It takes them right to your website. The reason for this, guys, is because advertising is expensive. And back in the day when I would run ads on various advertising sites and things like that, or in the newspaper or in magazine or whatever it was, a local paper, local advertising thing like what are those things that used to come, Val packs and things like that. That's expensive, and usually you get charged per the word, right? There's this thing I used to do. It might not be in your town, but I don't know if y'all remember. There's this publication. It's really rural. And some of you may remember this or may remember. It's called Coffee Time. Coffee Time was a very blah publication. It's usually just brown. It's just words, not color. It's black and white, very blah. But where I was from, it was everywhere, at every restaurant, and it's free. But you paid to get advertising on it. Well, you got charged by the number of words. You got charged by how much you put in there. So if you have a website, you can capture an audience by getting them from point A to point B. And once you've got them at point B, that's where you've got them captured. And that's where you get to elaborate on your services or convince them why you need to hire me over somebody else. Okay. That type of thing. So you got to have a website, folks. Next, social media. As much as I hate it, as much as I loathe the social media, you need to make sure that you create a social media account for your company, not your personal, for your company. Now, I'm different because everything's evolved around me, and I'm not a local contractor, but we're talking local contracting. Okay, electrical contractor local. You want to make sure that you create social media accounts. You want to make sure that there's a next door neighborhood, that you're connected with that next door neighborhood with your logo. Remember, stay consistent, keep your colors, keep the mission, but make sure you get on social media and don't be afraid to post job site pictures. Do a safety tip once a week. If you're an electrician, do a code tip. It's a week. Try not to keep it so cozy, but maybe something like post something about keep the clearances in front of your electrical panels clear for safety, yada yada, whatever. Or GFCIs or AFCIs or. Make sure that your posts or your little quick videos on a job site or little, hey, this is so-and-so with so-and-so electric. Just want to remind you it's time to, check your GFCIs or whatever it is. Because you want to share all those things, not just on your website, not just on all of your business cards where you put your social media icon, but you want to keep it short, and so people will go there and join it and look at stuff that you do, because they will use that to determine whether or not they should hire you or not. Hey guys, we just finished putting in this ceiling fan for this customer. Look at that ceiling fan. That's amazing. If you have an interest in a ceiling fan like this, give us a call. We'll give you a great deal. And then sometimes we even throw in specials in those type of things. Like if you call us today, you'll get $10 off or $15. However you do it, the point is you're consistent with it. And you're going to say, well, that's a lot of work. It is a lot of work being in business, especially if you're hungry. Dude, y'all think about the stuff that I do. I do podcasts. I do videos. I consult with people. I'm a head of technicals. I'm the director of technical services for Encore and Prismium. I do podcasts. I do morning show every day. I have to answer hundreds and hundreds of questions a week on technical stuff from people that send it. Okay. I have clients that I'm their consultant to. And then I've got trips I have to go to. How do I do all that? Because I have to be a good keeper of my time. Like for today, this is Sunday. This is my block that I had set up for me to do podcasts. And I'm sticking to that mission because I know that I can get overwhelmed with all the things that I like to do. As a contractor, you're working, but you know what? When you get home, it only takes a few minutes to do a social media post. In fact, they even have software now that you can do them ahead of time and they'll launch on their own when you get that sophisticated. But right now, social media, and we're not talking about you worrying about being connected with people all over the country. Like I'm trying to connect with people all over the country, right? You don't care about that. You don't care anything about that as a local SEO. You're only worried about your local folks. So you join Facebook groups for your local folks, okay? You hear what I'm saying? You keep it very short. You keep it very, and you're not about the clicks. You don't care about the followers. People have said that to me all the time. I said, well, I get thousands of people that watch the stuff that we do. Not all of them are subscribers, okay? They don't all subscribe, but somebody may see it, okay? I had one guy ask me one time, says, Paul, why do you replay a lot of your videos? Because I realized that people are going to be coming in, new people, old people, transients, in and out, always, constantly. If I get one person that sees one of my videos and they buy a course, then I make a sale. You have to put your product out there. And so if you're a local contractor, you have to keep your product out there. I'm just saying, it is what it is. You got to be hustling all the time. Okay? All right. Where are we at here? Okay, so there we go. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the customer experience. And you've heard me say it a little earlier. Again, bad impressions. They can be overcome, but it's difficult. It's so much better to set a good impression. So the next step we're talking about is focusing on the customer and the experience. Remember now, you can do the best code compliant work on the planet. But if the customer had a bad experience, that job won't lead to another job. That's a quote, okay? You could be the best in the world. I can be the best code guy in the world. I can be the best service tech in the world. But if I look like crap, cuss like a sailor, look like a scrub, set a bad impression, it doesn't matter how good I am. It's not going to lead to another sale. It doesn't matter how good you are to them. They don't care about your life. They don't care about where you come from. Don't share your personal experiences with them. They don't care. The quicker that you can understand, everybody likes to talk about themselves. I get it. But when you're on a job, they don't care about you. They just want you to fix the shit that's happening that they don't want to happen. So stop thinking that they care about you. They don't care about you, and that's okay. Because we're not here to make friends, right? We're here to get the job done. So remember, it doesn't matter how good you are. Okay, I can have the best technician in the world work for me. But if they are terrible with a customer, they're not going to make me money, even though they're great. They're not going to get that because that ROI, that return on my investment with that customer has to pay dividends in the future. So if they need something else done, I need them to call me. They know somebody down the street, I need them to call me. Okay, I need them to share my information. If you could be the greatest in the world, but you have the worst attitude or you project that to the customer, you're not going to get more business. You're just not. I've been to restaurants, for example, where the food was awful, but the help was amazing. I will give them another chance just for the help alone. Right? So anyway, things to think about. Now, core habits to remember. Anytime you give somebody an appointment, make sure you confirm that appointment. Make sure they understand clear times. Make it clear when you expect to be there, and then be there. You know that old saying is if the appointment is 8 o'clock and you arrive at 8 o'clock, that you're already late? That is absolutely a true statement in my mind. You have to be early. If it's an 8 o'clock appointment, you need to be pulling up on that job site at about 7:10. Excuse me. Sorry, not 7:10. 7:50 with your clipboard, everything ready, getting your truck ready so that you can be up there at that door at 8 o'clock and you ring that doorbell. Okay. So I believe you have to be there early to be ready, because if you're always running late and you're always just arriving, now again, circumstances can happen. I get it. I'm a realist. I get it. But the goal should be tactfulness and be on time. And be on time really today means be early. Okay. Make sure your tools are clean. Make sure that if you're going to come in their house, companies that are not buying these little shoe protectors, you need to be buying these shoe protectors. If you're not going to buy shoe protectors, then you need to buy your employees the like slippers, or the full slipper, that they can put on their feet that are clean bottom or whatever, that you only use when you go in somebody's houses. Maybe you take off your shoes and go in your socks, whatever. I think that one of the things that we used to have is those little shoe covers in a box. You can get a box of them. I don't remember how many within a box. Always go and put that on right in front of the customer. Always. If the customer says, "Oh, don't worry about that," you go, "No, ma'am, it's our policy. We pride ourselves on clean and making sure we leave the location as clean as it was when we came here." That's a great start. Dude, it just sets a tone that you're professional. Okay, all your tools clean, not mucked up. I was talking to some folks over on TikTok a little while ago, and they were talking about tools. Again, it doesn't matter where your tools come from. Their tools are tools. You have a reason for your tools, but make sure they stay clean, tidy, and neat and presentable. And anytime you do work, dude, this is always a joke in the industry when it comes to electricians. I see these little memes on social media that the electricians don't like to clean up after their mess. I don't know what electricians they're talking about, because I cleaned up, and my guys always cleaned up their job site. And if there's nowhere to throw it, they at least swept it into a pile. Every truck or van that I had a wide 3-foot or wide body brush on it, and they would sweep it. Whether or not they would, say, "Well, Paul, we didn't make this mess." I don't care if it looks like a mess. You clean it. I didn't believe in having staples all over the job site. I didn't believe in them wasting wire nuts on the job site. Shit, them things cost me $3 a piece. So again, frugal, but made sure that everybody was on the same page up front. Don't make stuff up as you go. Set the tone up front, what your expectations are. But again, tidy, neat work. If you go and work, give your guy that works on a service truck, give them a little vacuum cleaner that they can take in, cordless, and they can clean up whatever mess they make. Put it back the way it was before they leave. I'm just saying, those are the little things that's the professionalism, right? Those are those core things that we were trying to do. That's you carry, and you look the part. Your shirts, everything you wear says who you are. You look the part. Next, make sure you communicate throughout the job. Don't leave them in the dark, unless of course it's like a panel change or whatever, and you're literally leaving them in the dark. But don't be afraid to convey what you're doing. You're not trying to hide the special sauce. Okay. I always communicate with my customers because they're always watching. If they're interested and they're watching and following you around, then I keep them interested. I'm like, if I'm going to replace a GFCI, it's not working, and I go to them and GFCI is not functioning, I was like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take this old GFCI out. It's not functioning. And we're going to replace it with a new one. And then I'll walk you through how you test it. And if you want to watch me put it in, I'll show you what the line and load is. Kind of got any questions, but don't be so scared. People don't want to share things for some weird reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe some electricians don't communicate well. Well, I encourage you to do mock things at your company in order to encourage your employees to be a little more vocal. Okay, not condescending, but vocal. Explain what they're doing. They don't have to go technically too deep. Like me, I'm going to end up telling them what's the difference between the AFCI and GFCI, what a GFCI is, Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they don't want to know all that. They just want the basics, and you're only communicating with them to let them know that they're engaged in what you're doing. And maybe they don't follow you around. Then you don't have to communicate with them. But if they do, embrace it. Don't kind of be snarky. Don't be like, you don't need to know what I do. There's no hiding anything here. Just be honest with your customer. Also, this can go a long way. Folks, listen to me. Thank the customer and follow up with the customer the next day. Okay, now you're going to ask me, what does this mean? What is this? This is a psyche tool. First of all, you are thankful as a customer, and your employee that may be doing this, if you got a couple guys working for you or whatever, or it's you always leave with, thank you for the service, allowing us to do this for you. We appreciate it. We're a growing company, and again, we appreciate it. This is a great time to say something like, do you mind doing a Yelp review, or do you mind doing a Google review, or do you mind doing a Bing review, or whatever? Okay. Do you mind? It really helps me out. That type of thing. And so that comes into the next thing, and that is reviews. And we're going to get to that in a second, but don't be afraid to say thank you to the customer. Here's the other thing. Follow up the next day. So what you should do is every customer that you go to, and I don't know if you do this already, but every customer you go to, you make sure that your name or their number and their name, their name is recorded. And obviously that'll be on the sales ticket. But if you're doing service work, for example, or doing with anybody you're doing work for, make sure that your office, or if it's you personally, follow up the next day and say, hey, I just wanted to follow up yesterday. Everything's still working. You'd expect it to be working. But it does give you another opportunity to make that contact with the customer, who is, again, a paying customer who you want to pay you more in the future or to share with other people. Remember, a good job ends with a satisfied customer, but a great job creates a referral to another customer. So don't be afraid to say, hey, thank you for the work. Allow me to do this work. I appreciate it. As you know, we're growing our business, and we're really trying to, do good things for our community, and we're really focused on it. But we do appreciate you calling us and having us do it. The next day, you follow up and say, hey, Mrs. or Mr. whatever, just wanted to follow up, make sure everything's okay, that we met all your expectations and everything, and you're good. And I just wanted to let you know how much we appreciate you giving us a call. Now, there's some people out there that say, I'm not going to that level of pandering. Well, then your ass really don't need to be in business. I'm just saying it. I know I'm going to offend some of you, or some of you, maybe your company's too big that you're like, I don't need to do that shit. That's fine. Then I'm not talking to you then, because I'm talking about me creating a brand. I'm talking about me creating an image. I'm talking about my image of where that customer goes, I'll be damned. They did such a neat job. They did it and met my expectation. And guess what? They even called me the next day to make sure everything was still okay and that they appreciate it. That goes a long way to that customer potentially telling somebody else how good you did. Okay. Now, let's talk about reviews, because this is becoming major today when it comes to local SEO, or people seeing your business, or people sharing things, because people are actually looking at reviews now. I do. I look at reviews. Okay. Anytime I buy something on Wayfair, I look at a review. Anytime I buy something on Amazon, I look at a review. Those type of things. I'm always looking at reviews, and you can tell a fake ass review. Okay. You can tell. But look, 5-star reviews aren't just for fancy restaurants. They are going to fuel your business. How many times have you taken an Uber ride, or you've taken a DoorDash, whatever, and they say, do you mind giving them a review? And I would appreciate 5 stars. Don't be afraid to ask for it, guys. I don't know what the deal is with people that are afraid to ask for it. You know, when I tell people about the sale, I don't know if y'all have heard me talk about when I say what makes a good salesperson. It's basically, people can sell anything. I can sell ice to an Eskimo, but if I don't ask the Eskimo if you're willing to buy, they're not going to buy the damn ice. So you can go through everything, but you ultimately got to say, okay, are you in, after you go through your whole spiel, it's like, I've got some ice right here. You know what? Are you interested in this ice? Ask for the sale. If you don't ask for the review, you're not going to get the review. So, and you want 5-star reviews, because that's the image you're setting. That's the brand you're setting. You're doing everything right. Now, if you were shitty, you weren't good on the site, you ran your mouth, you set a bad impression, and then you ask for a 5-star review, I'd be damned if you're going to get it. In fact, it'll probably trigger me to give you a 1-star review because I wasn't even thinking about giving you a review. So my best advice for you out there, if you're not going to be that person, you're not working on your brand, and you're not doing a good job at the site or the job site or the service call, then you might not want to mention anything about reviews, because then that's going to make that light bulb go up to that customer and say, you know what? I can let you know what I think of you without saying it to your face. They'll give you a 1-star, and that's not going to help your business. I'm just saying. Okay. So you need to ask for the review, whether it's Google, Bing, or whatnot. And you know what? I'm going to tell you what I did. Okay. This may help you, may not. I made it easy for them. Okay. I created a website, a web page where when they scan this QR code on the back of my business card that says, give me a review, that they would go to the page where it would allow them to put the information in, or to go to the different services, Bing, Google, all of them. I made it easy for them. Okay, to be able to give me the review. I didn't want them to go hunting for it. I made it easy for them. And then later, we started doing stuff with the NFC cards. And y'all have seen me talk about those coffee hour NFC cards, where you can have an NFC card where you can say, hey, can you give us a review? And you tap their phone, and it takes them right to the area where they can give 5 stars. And don't be afraid to say, ask for it. Okay, ask for a review and say, hopefully you liked our service, our professionalism. We would love a 5-star review, and we'd appreciate a review, and that type of thing. All right, and let them do it that way, because every 5-star review is a sales rep working for you 24/7, dude. Trust me. Trust me. It is definitely. I'd much rather ride in an Uber driver that's got a 4.9 or greater than I would one that's down in 3.9. I'm just saying. And I did a lot of riding with Uber drivers, and there is a distinct difference in the two. Okay, there's a reason why they've only got a 3.9. I'm just saying. Plus, a lot of times Uber won't even push those drivers to you if your rating is real high, because they rate you as well. That type of thing. Okay. Anyway, so encourage those reviews. Google reviews are great. Yelp reviews are great. Bing reviews are great, but Google is the king. Remember that. Google is the king. So your Google My Business Listing and your Google reviews are going to take precedent. That's the majority of the engines soak up that information from Google. Also, what you can do is you can text them or email them a link. Okay. Because again, if you follow up the next day and you get that email information from them, again, don't be afraid to get that information and say, do you mind if I text you or email you a link to do a review? Don't feel like you're being pushy, especially if you did everything right. You just did stellar. You just hit a home run. You can tell that conversation with that customer that you just knocked it out of the freaking park. And you want that review. You need to make sure you get that review, okay? Now, when you do get that good review, don't be afraid to screenshot it and post it on your social media, post it on your website, post it everywhere you can, because once you get that review, that is golden. Share it everywhere, not just on the review site, like the Google sites or what. No, you screenshot that thing. On my phone, I can swipe the screen, take a screenshot, minimize it so it just gives me the review, and then I would share that on my social posts. I'd share that on my websites. I would share that everywhere, okay? Now, ask for video testimonials if they feel comfortable, and ask them if you have permission to post it. So like what I would do before I would leave, and I'd say, do you mind giving me a review? And they say, yeah. I said, hey, do you mind giving a video testimonial review? It'll only take you a few seconds. I can do it with my phone, and I'll just hold it up like a selfie, and you can say, we can have a quick little conversation and say, how did you like our service today? And they can say something, however you want to design that. However you come up with your little niche to do that, to get that video testimonial, or maybe you just want to video them and ask them, say, what did you think about your service today from Abernathy Electrical Services? And they say, it was great, so professional. We appreciate it. They solved our problem right away. Dude, if you can get videos, short little video testimonials like that you can share in social media, doesn't have to be but about 10, 15 seconds long. That's it. Golden. And back that up with a Google listing. And I think the problem today is too many electrical contractors, plumbing contractors, mechanical, don't want to take the time to coddle their business like this. And if you don't, you're not going to grow. It's my opinion. You're just not going to grow unless you're willing to work it. Okay. The next thing that we talk about is being seen in your community, because now you're building your brand. You need to be seen a little bit out in the community. You need to be that face of your brand. They need to know what your logos look like. So you need to be seen in that community. And again, if you want to be the go-to local electrician, then be local. What does that mean? You have to be involved. And it is inexpensive, folks. It does not cost as much as folks think. You just got to look into it. Maybe you sponsor a Little League team. Maybe it's $150 and your name is put on the back of their jerseys. Or maybe they have an outing at the end of the year and you sponsor the outing. Or maybe they have banners that go on the outside fence that you could be very descriptive. Put your logo, your phone number, and make it clear on the banner what you do. Electrical services. That's all you need. Don't put so much crap on it that somebody's got to use a binocular to see it. The simple is best. Put your logo, put your website on there as big as possible across the bottom. Okay. Put your phone number and say what you do. That's it. Okay. Also, don't be afraid to volunteer at local events, trade school panels. If you have a trade school in your area, be involved. Okay. Join any business networking groups. They may have a chamber of commerce. It's just a one-time fee or an annual fee, but you get exposure. They'll put your name in the stuff that they send out. And again, if your logo looks great, it depicts what you do, and your company name is very clear. It describes what you do, and you're able to get your website in there. You might only get 3 lines in these things for these chambers of commerce. They may only give you 3 lines. But at the end of the day, people can then go to your website or your social media posts, and they can learn more about you. That's the other thing I'll tell you about social media. I'm giving you all these little tidbits. When you develop a social media handle, make sure you stick to a handle and use it across all your platforms. So, for example, I am Master The NEC. I am on Master The NEC on TikTok. I am Master The NEC on Twitter, which is now X. I am Master The NEC on Facebook. I am Master The NEC on Instagram. Okay, I am Master The NEC on Kicks. Stick to it. Okay, stick to it. The only one that I am not Master The NEC on is my LinkedIn account, which is a business profile account, and it's not to me the same as social media. Those are business contacts. Those are not what you're going to use to grow your local SEO. You're not going to use LinkedIn. Still should get an account for your business because exposure is king. But those are not the ones that you're going to be using to develop your brand locally. That's going to be the social media that people will use all the time. Facebook. On Facebook, I'm Master The NEC. So be consistent. Pick it. You can have a personal account if you want to play around on, but your business ones, develop them now and stay consistent across all of your social platforms. If you're going to make it very business centric, means that these accounts are for me to share things about my business. And here's the beautiful thing. When you share something, you create something for one of them, you can use it on all of them. Same with YouTube. Get you a YouTube account, get you a very specific, keep it simple, keep it the same. Mine is Master The NEC on that as well. And then do the video shorts, 10-second videos, 15 seconds, testimonials. Keep it there. All of that stuff is going to benefit you in building your brand locally, but you've got to share it, okay? It's not like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, but you have all these avenues that you can share and build your brand. Okay. The other thing I'll tell you is don't be afraid to partner. Okay. Some companies are so scared to partner that I don't understand it. For example, if I'm an electrical contractor and I'm working on job sites and I find a good plumber or I find a good HVAC guy or I find some good real estate agents or some home inspectors, whatever I find, I go right after them. And I'm saying, look, I'd like to partner with you. And they could say no, but chances are they're not partnering with anybody. Say, look, I would like to, partner with you. In other words, build our own little networking, whereas I'm going to give you some business cards. Hopefully, if somebody needs electrical work, you'll share it. I'll take some of your cards. And if they say, no, I don't do that, I don't align with anybody, then all I say to those folks is, that's okay. Let me give you some cards anyway. Maybe somebody that you normally would recommend is booked up and they can't get to something right now. I don't mind being the number 2 guy. I don't mind at all being the number 2 because you know what? Sometimes the number 1 is going to be tied up and the number 2 is waiting right there. Okay. Also, real estate agents, don't be afraid to give your cards to real estate agents. Let them know. In fact, I've even created plans for real estate agents, whereas I can do a freshen up, whereas I'll replace all the receptacles. the covers, switches, luminaires that they would like to be replaced, add recesses if they want, fix issues that might come up on a home inspection. You know, they might already have an electrician, but what you do is you don't approach it with, I want to be your number one. You want to approach it and say, look, I want to be here in case your number one can't meet your needs. I just want to be that person here for you. Again, I'm not pressuring you. I just would like to build this relationship with you. You'd be surprised that you're not going to get something unless you don't ask for it. And rejection is just part of the deal, right? You might get rejected by somebody, but it's okay. Who cares? So, you know, get used to it. It's not a big deal, that type of thing. And mention to these people that you'll refer them as well. If you have any business cards, I'm more than happy to refer, that type of thing, okay? So you don't just want to be their home. You want to be part of their town, okay? You just don't want to be in their home. You want to be part of their town, part of their community, all those things with the charities, giving, and make sure, and here, this is where you got to be selfish. I want to make sure that I'm getting something in return. I'm not going to sponsor a Little League team just out of the goodness of my damn heart, okay? There is always something I want out of this. And you can say, well, Paul, that's not very honest. Bullshit. Wake the hell up, people. Stop being so damn woke. I'm in business to make money, to feed my family. They're going to pay somebody anyway. So yes, I feel good about helping the Little League, but if it means I can put a banner on that fence and I'm going to get money out of it, then I'm going to put the information I need to have on there and I'm going to make money. But I'm still helping the team. I'm still helping the charity. Get off of the high horse, folks. You've got to be hungry to build your business, okay? It doesn't mean you screw people. It means that you're building your business, okay? I'm just saying. All right. The next step that I think is very important, again, this is a long podcast, so hopefully you're still with me, is build authority with education. What do we mean by that? Well, I want to build fast, trusted fast than any billboard. Teach something, okay? So if I want to trust faster than any billboard, then I want to teach them something. So how do I educate people locally? Record short little videos answering common questions and safety questions that you post on your social media, post on your website. Become that authority, okay? Write blogs. Some people don't like writing blogs, but it doesn't have to be a long blog. Maybe you know something that you're familiar with, that you've got a knowledge. You're an electrician. You know little things. Write an informative blog. Write it in the way that it's going to help the customer, okay? The things that they issue, that they run into. Host a free home safety check event where you'll do a little event for the community. And maybe you can do that through the Chamber of Commerce at a meeting and say, look, I'd like to do a 15-minute little home safety check thing. And you can have a little PowerPoint with things that they need to check around their house. All those type of things, okay? Maybe you write a simple guide or checklist for the first-time homeowners and you provide this to the real estate agents. From the professional electrician or professional plumber, things that they need to look for, a little checklist, okay? Remember, an educated customer becomes a loyal customer, and they'll bring others with them, trust me, when they feel like they've learned something from you. You're not trying to turn them into tradesmen. You're trying to just educate them on the things that they're going to encounter as a homeowner, okay? You hear a breaker. If you ever hear a breaker arcing, call us, okay? Anything like that, you know, you can be creative. The next step I will say is, and again, this is the last one, and again, I appreciate you for taking the time. This is a rather long podcast, but this one is stay consistent and authentic, okay? Branding is like wiring a house. It has to be planned, structured, and repeated over and over again, okay? So stick to your brand across all your platforms. Use the logos, use your color scheme, stay consistent with your message. Again, this is different than trying to reach worldwide. You're just trying to reach local. So all those things that we talked about in step one, okay, your professionalism, your accuracy, your promptness, whatever you're focusing in on, stay consistent across your brand, okay? Keep showing up online and in person. Be consistent. Don't just do one event. Don't go just do the one open house. Just be consistent. If you're doing a social media post, be consistent. Mark your calendar that you're going to do something, a picture from a job site or a customer or a testimonial at least twice a week on certain days, and stay consistent with it. Next, stick to your values. Do not compromise your professionability to anybody, okay? If you promise professionalism, You need to live it daily. Walk the walk, talk the talk. Don't be that one time that you let your guard down is that one time that's going to be an impressionable moment that could ruin your brand. So if you're going to wear company shirts, you're going to wear your Vans, got your name on it, it stays clean, professional, stick to it, keep it, okay? Stick the part, live it, learn to live it, absorb it, let it become part of you, okay? Always be code strong, stay educated, stay sharp, and enforces your credibility. Again, you don't build a brand in a week. You build it over dozens of jobs, dozens of impressions, and dozens of moments of trust between you and your client. That's what it does. Now, the other great advantage to master electricians or people that own their company is to get additional credentials and certifications that you can stand out amongst your peers. CMECP program, for example, is a very cheap way of solidifying yourself as that knowledgeable contractor in your community. You have it on the side of your vehicles, you wear it on your shirt, you have it on your hats, you have the lapel pin, you put it on your business cards, you promote the professionalism that you've gone over and above, and you make it a point to remind people you did go over and above the average electrician or the average electrical contractor. You took that extra step of knowledge and incorporate that into your business. But that doesn't just mean our CMECP program. That means you continually learn, you continually take courses, you continually educating yourself, not just electrical, but in HR courses, marketing courses, constantly enriching yourself. You're the business owner. You're developing your company. This is yours. And everything you learn by doing that extra effort, you're going to be able to convey down as your business grows to the people underneath you, okay? All right, folks, that wraps up today's episode here at Master the NEC Podcast. Now, if you're serious about growing your electrical business, don't just master the code. I'm sure you attend our live streams and our educational programs and all that kind of stuff. You got to master how your community actually sees you. The steps that I've given you, I promise you, you'll stop being just another electrical contractor in the phone book, and you start being the person that folks call first, okay? If you found this valuable today, folks, share this episode with other fellow contractors. Don't forget to leave a review. Let us know what you thought. Give us a thumbs up. Share it. And if you have future episodes that you'd like to see come up on here, do me a favor. Just go to paulabernathy.com and please, by all means, give us suggestions on things that you want to hear. And we're more than happy to produce podcasts and even video content for you based on things that you need. We're here for you. If you want to learn more about being a certified master electrical code professional, again, it's all about image. It's all about taking your game to the next level. If you're interested in that, go to cmecp.org and check that out. You can read all about it. It's only available to master electricians or equivalent, but we think it's the next generation in making you stand out. And maybe you're already in business and you're like, well, I've already established. I don't know what else I can do. Maybe this is where it's time to jumpstart your business and then raise its elevation. And it's never too late to start branding your company, maybe in a different direction than where you are now. Maybe you're not new. Maybe you've been around for 20 years, but you'd like to get from point A to point B a little better, and you'd like to create a little better branding. Then hopefully my tips have helped you today. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Master the NEC Podcast.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC Podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC Podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC Podcast episode.